Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to start our last chapter of biology, that is transport. So as you know, the transport is actually the movement of materials from one place to the other. Either it is in case of the plants or in case of the animals. And also these materials are being utilized and stored in the body of plants or animals. All the land plants have developed the complex vascular tissues, which are called as the xylem and phloem, that move water and food throughout the plant body. So before we start about it, let's say what actually is a transport in plants. In case of transport in plants, the water and ions are being uptaken by the plants, and there are different parts of this plant root. For example, if we take a start from the root, it contains the conducting tissues. Conducting tissues helps the movement of the water and minerals from the soil towards the aerial part of the plant. These conducting tissues are the xylem and phloem. Then after this, you can see the xylem and phloem are present on the inner side of the plant. Then its outer layer is the pericycle. Outer the pericycle is the endodermis, which is a single layer of cell, and it surrounds the pericycle. So external to this is the cortex. This cortex helps the plant. It is also actually a large and thin walled cells and is bounded on outside by a single layer of epidermal cell. So roots also have clusters of tiny root hairs, as you can see in this figure. These are the tiny root hairs, which are actually the extension of epidermal cells. So root hairs, what does it do actually? It provides the large surface area for the absorption, as it spreads throughout the soil and helps the plant to absorb the maximum water and minerals from the soil. They grow out in the spaces between the soil particles where they are in the direct contact with water, and the cytoplasm of the root hairs has the higher concentration of salt than soil water. So water moves by osmosis into the root hairs. Moving further, the next thing is about the transpiration. Transpiration is actually the loss of water from plant surface through the evaporation. As you can see in this figure, that it is the loss of water is taking place through the leaves of the plants. So this loss may occur through the stomata that are present in the leaves, through the cuticle that are present on the leaf epidermis, and also through the spatial openings. These openings are called as the lenticles, which are present on the stem and mainly on these branches of the plant. So most of the transpiration actually occurs through the stomata. That is why it is called as the stomatal transpiration. And the mesophyll cells of leaves provide the large surface area for the evaporation. So if we talk about the whole process of transpiration, water is being absorbed by the roots. It travels through the plant and moves to the aerial part of the plant, that is the leaf. And then the transpiration occurs and water evaporates from the surface of the leaf. Then water evaporates into the air spaces of the leaf, and the water vapors then diffuse from air spaces and moves towards the stomata, and then obviously it moves to outside of the air. The next thing is, what is the opening and closing of stomata? Before talking about the process of opening and closing, we will see the structure of it. This is the thin outer wall. Then this, you can see, this is the thin outer wall. Then here are the guard cells present. This is the thin inner wall. Here the nucleus is present, and then the chloroplast. Both have the same structure, but here the stomata is open while here it is closed. So what happened that when the water content is water is present in the plant and transpiration occurs, at a certain limit that there will be the if there will be more transpiration, what happened that the plant may get wilt. So to stop the transpiration process, the stomata gets closed. In case of the most of the plants, the stomata is open during the day and closes during the night, and it is the responsibility of stomata to regulate transpiration through the actions of the guard cells. So two guard cells are attached to each other, The inner concave side of these guard cells, as you can see in this figure, the inner concave sides of the guard cells enclosed stoma are thicker than the outer convex side. It is thicker than its outer side. And when guard cells get water and become turgid, their shapes are like two beans. You can see in this figure, it is like a bean. It is bean shaped. Are two beans, and the stoma between them opens, and when the guard cell loses the water, here you can see it loses the water, so it gets flaccid, and it's both the sides touches each other, and the stomata closes. In this way, it can stop the flow of water and ions, and it can make the plant, save the plant from dying. And as the day progresses, what happened that the guard cells make the glucose, and when it makes glucose, it becomes hypertonic, so water stays in them. While when the day ended, the potassium ions flow back from the guard cells towards the epidermal cell, and the concentration of glucose in it also falls. Due to it, the water moves to the epidermal cells, and the guard cells lose turgors, and as a result, the stomata gets closed. This is about the opening and closing of stomata. Next is about the factors that are affecting the rate of transpiration. The first thing is about the temperature. As we all know that if there is a higher temperature, there will be the more transpiration, because the higher temperature means that the amount of water in the outer environment is lesser, and as we studied that the water moves from higher concentration towards the lower concentration, so the rate of evaporation increases. And if the plant is at a very high temperature, that is 40 to 45 degrees centigrade, it causes the closure of stomata, so transpiration stops and plant does not lose the much needed water. The next thing is about air humidity. Air humidity means that when air is dry, so what happened that water vapors diffuses more quickly from the surface of musical cells into the leaf air spaces, and then it forms the air spaces outside, and this increase the rate of transpiration. But if the air is humid, that already the water contents are present in the air, then there will be less loss of water from the leaves. Next thing is air movement. Air movement, air movement means the wind. When air is in motion, it carries away the evaporated water from the leaves, and it causes the increase in the rate of evaporation from the surface of mesophyll. So when air is still, the rate of transpiration is reduced. Then surface area. The more surface area, the more loss of water. The lesser the surface area, the lesser the loss of water. Because if there is more surface area, there will be the more stomatas are present there, and help to lose the water more fast. While in case of the lesser surface area, like if there is a small leaf present, that means that the plant cannot evaporate easily. In the same way, the plants present on the desert have the lesser surface area, and they have the sunken stomata present, means they are not on the surface like on the rest of the plant, like terrestrial plants. So it helps them to lose lesser water. Next thing is significance of transpiration. Transpiration is actually considered as a necessary evil. Why is it so? Because it is potentially harmful process, but is unavoidable too, because you can't stop the transpiration. As you can see in this figure, that water absorbed by the roots, it moves through the capillarity, and then suction pressure is there, which can help it to suck and move the water upwards. And the water, when reaches to the leaves, obviously it leaves the surface of water, so we can't stop it. Transpiration can be a harmful process in the sense that during the conditions of drought, loss of water from plant results in the serious desiccation, wilting, and often death. But transpiration is necessary too, because it creates a pulling force, which is called as the transpiration pull. It is principally responsible for the conduction of water and salts from the roots to the aerial parts of the plant. So obviously it is important, because the water can be transported from one part to the other part through the transpirational pull, or you can say through the transpiration. So when water transpires from the surface of plant, it leaves a cooling effect on plant, and this is especially important in the warmer environments. And the wet surface of leaf also allow the gaseous exchange. So in this way, this transpiration is important but harmful as well. The next thing is about the transport of water, that how that water can be transported inside the plant. So the process by which water is raised to the considerable heights in plants has been studied, and it is being called as a cohesion tension theory. And what is this theory actually? It means that the force which carries water upward through the xylem is transpirational pull. You know that through the transpirational pull, water can be pulled upward through the xylem vessels. So this transpiration creates a pressure difference, and it pulls the water and salts from roots to the aerial parts of the plant. So when a leaf transpires, it actually loses the water. So the water concentration in the mesophyll cells definitely drops. This drop causes the water to move by osmosis from xylem of leaf into the mesophyll cell. That in the leaf it is present and it moves towards the mesophyll cells, and when one water molecule moves up in the xylem of the leaf, then it creates a pulling force, and it continues all the way to from the root to the aerial part of the plant. So this pulling force is actually called as a transpirational pull, and it helps the water to move transversely and from roots towards the epidermis to cortex and then to the pericycle, as we discussed in the previous slide. So the main reasons for the creation of this transpirational pull is that the water is held in a tube. If water is present in a tube, that tube is actually the xylem. It has a very small diameter. The water molecules adheres to the walls of the xylem vessels, and it is called as the adhesion. And then water molecules cohere to each other. Obviously, if they are present in the same vessel, then it all collide with each other. This is being called as the cohesion. That is what is considered as the name is given to the transport of water is the cohesion tension theory. The next thing is about the transport of food, how the food is transported to all the parts of the plant. We know that food is being prepared in the leaves. So phloem is responsible for transporting the food substance throughout the plant body. Glucose is actually formed during the process of photosynthesis in the mesophyll cells, and it is used in the respiration. Excess of this is converted into the glucose. In most plants, food is transported in the form of sucrose, and this is making a pressure, and it is being called as the pressure flow mechanism. You can see through this example, the water is transported to the xylem and the food is transported. Food is being prepared inside the leaves. It then passes to the roots of the plant, the phloem of the plant, and then it moves from here to the other parts of the plant. There are different sieve tube cells being present here, and these sieve tube cells actually passes the food particles from the one part of the phloem to the other one. Here also the sources and the sink are present. Here is the sink. What are the sources and the sink? Sources actually include the exporting organs, typically a mature leaf or a storage organ we can say, while the sink are the those areas of the active metabolism for the storage, for example the roots, the tubers, developing fruits and leaves, and growing region. So storage organ is capable of the storing food and exporting the materials. In this way, the food is being stored inside the source and then transport inside the sink, and then the source is actually through which it is being passed, and that is these both parts are important for the plants. So at source we can say that food is moved by active transport into the sieve tubes of phloem, and due to the presence of sugar in the sieve tubes, their solute concentration increases and water enter them from the xylem. While at the sink, food is unloaded by the active transport, and water also exits from the sieve tubes, and the exit of water decreases pressure in the sieve tubes, which causes a mass flow from the higher pressure at the source to now lower pressure at the sink. You can see this through the example. Here it is coming with a higher pressure, while later its pressure is lower.